get started with today's podcast, I have a small favor to ask. 95% of you guys watching have not subscribed yet. In order to help me bring on bigger guests, if you've learned anything from any of my podcast episodes, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you and enjoy the podcast. Firstly, I'm going to start. Thank you so much, Guy, for joining me on an episode of the Inspired Man podcast. Mm-hmm. Great to have you here. Want to dive into your story right in. But before we go into talking about Juno Waters, I want to dive into your story prior to this business. Mm-hmm. How did you come up with this business? What were the other business ventures you tried? And what was your journey like during that time?
Yeah, sounds good. So thanks for having me today. It's a good pleasure to be here talking about Juno. I'm happy to go into the origin of the product and how I started. So I'm originally from Switzerland. I grew up in the Swiss countryside. And then I started my career working in finance in Hong Kong. So something totally different to drink business, right? So I spent 5 years working in Asia. And then I discovered during my time there the importance of traditional medicine, which is more like preventive disease rather than curing disease. And I thought that this was a very interesting aspect of medicine. So I visited a lot of traditional medicine shops, and I noticed that in a lot of them, they used bamboo extract or bamboo infusion because it's rich in antioxidant, in a lot of minerals, and it's been used for centuries, essentially, to heal the body and calm the mind. So then I quit my job in finance because I had this idea in mind. I moved here to London to do my MBA, and on the side of it, I started building the foundation of Juno Bamboo Water. So this is the product as it is today. It's just been rebranded. That's the second flavor, which is
I'm
mango.
really excited to try this one right here. I'm actually going to open it while you're talking.
And I'll try the second flavor, which is yuzu. Yuzu is a Japanese citrus. So it's a bit more like a mix between a mandarin and a lemon, if you want.
I can feel the mango flavor in the back end as well. And it's more like, I love sparkling drinks. Everyone knows me here. I'm either having something sparkling or sparkling water. So this gives you an infusion of that mango. And I think that makes me want to drink the water more and more and more.
Yeah, and importantly, we kept it, very healthy because it has to be in line with the main ingredient being bamboo extract. So we kept it low in sugar, low in calorie, it's vegan, etc.
That's really nice. And we spoke a bit about the packaging and the products and everything prior to that. First, before I go to packaging, this was an idea. How did you figure out that this idea is going to work? Because most people are stuck at that idea phase and they don't take any actions. So what was your thought process like?
Yeah, so that's definitely a scary moment, when you have your idea and you sit in front of your computer and you're like, okay, what's next? How do I bring this idea to life? And that takes a bit of courage, but a lot of effort and a lot of time as well, because, it's not a straight line progression. So you start building from day one, and then you have to fine-tune your product, tweak it, readjust it. Again, the product as it is today, it is in a can. Before it was in a glass bottle. So, your product is never the final product. It's always evolving, because once you have a sort of draft, you need to, show it to the market. And then after this, take the feedback and, fine tune your product constantly so that you have a perfect product that consumer loves.
I love that. And when you first launched it, how did you test it with the market? Was it just like a small batch you produced and then tested out with your friends, family, or just straight to the market?
Yeah, so that's a good question as well. So the very, very first trial were done in my kitchen in Hong Kong. Okay. So, mixing bamboo extract with sparkling water, with the different flavors, etc. It was a great drink to detox, fight the Hong Kong heat. Okay. But then first production was small batch production, but it's still, a couple of thousand units. So you have to, unfortunately, do some sampling before, which gives you a sort of idea, but you will never have a definite final answer until you launch the product on the market. So you do your first small batch, and once this is done, you put the money up front to do your first production, and then is the time where you have to go on the market, get some feedback, which is very important. But also sometimes it can be a bit tricky because some people will not like your product. Some people will tell you should have, add more flavor, add more sugar, etc., etc. So then, again, it's constant refining of the product.
Was there a phase where you received some type of feedback and you're like, or was there a phase in the start where you're like, you know what, this product's not working? Or was it in a place where it was working and you were going in that direction, but you had a bit of doubt in the journey?
Yeah, so doubt, I think it's always part of any startup, right? Doubt, challenge, it's probably 95% of the journey where, you're always facing doubt, challenges, solving problems, solving issues. And then you have these 5% of small moment of celebration which keeps you going, essentially. But yeah, definitely with this product, with the previous one, actually, we had a couple of, we presented to big buyers here in the UK, like big health store chains. They liked the concept, but they didn't like the glass bottle, for example.
Yes.
Because once it's in the fridge, people take it, it falls down, it breaks. It's not easy to, for logistic matters as well, it's not ideal. So they said, look, we really like the concept, but please come back once you have a can. So this is what we've just done because we listened to their feedback, we fine-tuned the product, and now hopefully it will be a better feedback again.
Yeah. And I think listening to the market is a key thing in running a business as well. Yeah. And so that's something which is shown here as well, how you improve the product. But talking about the bamboo extract itself as well, when I first heard, when Arpon told me this person owns a business which is bamboo water, straight in my mind is like, I've seen how bamboos look, they're tall and big. I'm like, how the hell do you extract water from that?
Yeah.
So what are the benefits of it, and how does the actual process work of extracting of that thing from the bamboo to create this?
So in terms of the extract itself, it's an area of the domain where I've spent quite some money and a lot of time and effort because it's highly regulated. It's not easy to create an extraction from it. You have different part of the bamboo, you have different variety of bamboo. So yeah, I won't go too much into detail because that's sort of a protection of the brand, sort of IP. In terms of the health benefits, bamboo is again packed in natural antioxidant, in vitamin B6, in vitamin E, in copper, and a lot of nutritional elements in there. And this is why it's been used for centuries in traditional medicine as a herbal remedy to detoxify the body and to boost immunity. Yeah, so it has a long list of health benefits, and we only communicate on a few of these that we feel fit the brand most.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And you were talking about how you took this product to the UK supermarkets and everything like that to kind of get them. Most people who, now this is me talking about people who are, let's say, just having an idea. In today's Gen Z world, the way their thought process works is that they're going to create a product, list it on a website, and then run some ads, and they're going to start making some money with that product. But you're taking more of a traditional route of like having a physical product and then going into physical stores and getting your product out there. So how does that part of kind of process work? You build a brand, you build the product, and then do you just reach out to them and then start offering that product?
Yeah, so I think that was my strategy initially. I think I keep that strategy for now. Online is, it sounds like it's easy, but it comes with a lot of challenges. Yep. It's not just building a website and launching your website. You have very powerful algorithm out there. Your website needs to be in competition with other websites, so you need to invest a lot of money. So it's not that straightforward, unfortunately. So I think if you have a good product, if you have some sort of good feedback, initial feedback, try to bring it to the market as quickly as possible. Try to get, you run in stores, you chat with the owner, you try to place your product, you try to get a few stores like this, and then you see what's the response from the market. And that's the best way because you're in contact with these people. They can let you know what worked, what doesn't work, what needs to be improved. Whereas your website, it can be live, but then it's hard to get feedback why it's working or not.
And there is no real customers until you pay for ads. Whereas in a shop, and I think I like the traditional route a lot, because you're right, in the online space, nowadays there's so much, and due to AI, people are just launching websites here and there, and just so much happening at the moment over there. I want to go back to the part where you moved to Hong Kong. You're working as you said, investment in that field, in finance. At what point did you think, you know what, I don't want to do this thing. I want to start a business.
Yeah. So starting a business, it's something that I had in mind since I was a kid. So it's something that grew on me over the years. It's not I woke up one morning and be like, I want to quit my job. I don't like it. I'm meant to be an entrepreneur. No, it's something that I had in mind since, high school or before this. I made a few attempts in the past. Most were unsuccessful. It was a learning experience nevertheless. But yeah, it's an idea, again, that grew on me over many years. Even Juno Bamboo Water, it's an idea that I had in mind since the first day I arrived in Hong Kong, more or less. And then it took, 4 or 5 years for me to put the thing in motion and start building the business. So yeah, to answer your question, I think it's a gradual process. It's not something that happened overnight, even though for some people maybe it can. But in my personal experience, it was a gradual process with some, unsuccessful event along the way, with some other small ideas that I had tried to launch, didn't succeed. And yet here I am again with this idea that now is getting a lot more traction, and hopefully will continue this way.
I like the part about how there were ideas which you attempted, didn't work out, yet you kept going on. And most people fail one thing and they don't carry on. And I'm sure even in Juno Water, there was parts where it wasn't working out and you had to refine it and keep going. Yeah. So what's your mindset when those things come up? Like when there's a problem or something like that, how do you overcome that and just keep going? Because most people don't have that thing in them.
Yeah, so of course, failing nowadays is seen as a bad thing. Yep. It is scary. It happens. I think, you have to be critical about why you failed and try to extract really a learning experience from it, and try to understand why you fail, what were the mistakes that were done, and then, process these. And if you really want to launch again, and if you really have an idea in which you believe, I don't think that past, failed attempt should impact your future decision. So I think it's really important to keep going. And as you say, with Juno now, that has been running for about 2 years, it hasn't been like a straight line progress. No, you had COVID, you had all the lockdowns, you have financial crisis that is a bit here. Yeah. So you have doubt. It's part of the process. What you really need to have is dedication. You need to be 100% dedicated to your product, believing in yourself. And if not, you need to build that trust in yourself. And that's something that you need to build alongside your startup, because it's you are the engine of your startup, and you need to believe in yourself. And in my case, at least, it was not, I had low confidence, etc. as when I was younger. So building a startup, it's not easy, and you need to really work on yourself to be able to push that startup as far as possible.
What would be the few things you would say people should work on to have the resilience to keep going?
So I think it comes with a lot of, routine element to enhance your lifestyle. Because in the end, you need to be healthy in your mind. You need to have a healthy body. You need to have the shoulder to carry your business. So, it can be meditation. It can be going for a run on a regular basis. So I do exercise a lot just to keep my mind healthy. That's a crucial point to keep going. there's a lot of reading that you can do. There are a lot of article online. You can do coaching as well with some sort of people that are meant to coach you to push your startup.
I like that a lot. And people who are willing to learn and invest in themselves automatically grow their businesses, because it's like a reflection. Your business is a reflection of you.
Yeah.
So what you said was amazing right there. Thing about coaching, I'm going to put myself in here.
Mm-hmm.
Finding a coach is so difficult nowadays, because you don't know which coach to go for, who is the right coach for you, who has the credibility to help you in your specific business.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find the right coach?
I think in my case, it was just a matter of luck. I was actually encouraged by some of my friends, partners, because they saw that sometimes, running a startup is tough. Don't get me wrong, it's really tough. It's incredibly
Very
tough.
Yeah.
You're very close to sometimes to burnout, because you work 24/7 on your idea. So some of my friends saw that sometimes, it was not all rosy, because that's part of startup life, and kindly encouraged me to, look for some help. And then you have to be open to this. Most people first reflect would be like, no, that's not for me.
I don't need
Coaching
anyone.
is not for me.
Yeah.
I don't have time. I need to focus on my startup. Yet, if you don't follow and you this advice and you go into a burnout, it's a few weeks or months on which you won't be able to work on your startup.
Yep.
So again, we mentioned about preventive medicine in the intro about Juno bamboo water. I think preventing these sort of negative event is much better than curing them. So you have to be able to explore a bit, navigate the few options that are there. You have plenty of options online, and I think that's definitely important.
I like that so much. And burnout is kind of a thing which I faced a lot in the start, but then I realized how taking it easy and building a startup. You built it, let's say, I think this started in 2019 when you legally decided to continue this, and then we had COVID as well. So before I go to my next question, how did you pass this COVID phase when everything went locked and there was nothing happening? What was your mindset and things saying in your mind that time?
Yeah, so that was a pretty tough moment for sure, because I had spent a few months and quite a bit of my savings building the first prototype, right? And I was at the stage where I was able to, show a product to potential buyers. Now they all closed overnight, literally. They had to rationalize their inventory. They were not onboarding new products. So I had an inventory sitting there, and with expiry date, getting closer to expiry date, not being able to sell it. So that was the first tough point. The second tough point is that I had suppliers that were key suppliers to the brand, which went bankrupt overnight.
Wow.
A few of them. So literally, there was a time during COVID where I was, living alone in lockdown, so not seeing many people, if not any. And then my project, in which I had invested like quite some savings and a lot of my time, was literally back to square one. There was no more product. There was nothing left of it. So again, I had to find the strength to, continue, look forward for some solution, and restart building from scratch, literally from scratch.
What was what did you do different at that phase? Because the world changed after that point in many aspects. So what was that kind of pivot you had to make in your startup to make sure it works out?
So the first thing was to rely on more than one supplier at a time. Could be for ingredient, could be for packing, could be for labels, etc. So have a handful of diversified suppliers, just in case one goes out, you have another selection that is available. That's crucial. The second thing that I've done is that I have brought my supply chain as close as possible to me, i.e. here in the UK. So most of Juno production and ingredient are done here in the UK. The product is actually made in the UK with a few ingredients coming from Asia. Okay. But yeah, having this supply chain closer to me allows me to have more control and be able to check on quality, because that's something that it's crucial to our
Quality
business.
matters the most.
Yeah, quality matters the most. So it's important for us to be able to visit our suppliers, have a chat with them, and make sure that quality is pitch perfect.
I like that a lot. I've been thinking of since you came, Juno.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean, and how did you come up with the name Juno?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have it actually a lot. So there is a Japanese kanji, which is a Japanese character that sounds like June, which means pure, clean, and simple when talking about a liquid. So, that's perfectly in line with our recipe that is meant to be pure, clean, and simple as well. And also it's a nod to my time spent in Asia as well.
I like that. I've got 2 Japanese tattoos.
Yeah, I saw that. What do they mean?
One is ikigai, self-improvement,
makes
and
sense.
the second one is, I don't know if you know this, ukiyo.
No.
It's like living in the moment, or living in the floating world, and being in the present.
That's cool.
So that's why when you talk about this specific thing, I was like, makes sense. I think there's a lot of words in Japanese that really mean a lot in life.
Yeah.
And once you look at them for so long, you just want to do something.
Yeah.
With it. So,
yeah, exactly. That's for sure.
And you said you had low confidence when you were young, and in business world, you need to talk to a lot of people. So how did you kind of build that level of confidence eventually?
Yeah. Well, first, it's learning by doing, really. So the first thing was that I was not necessarily in the right field when I started my career. Being in finance was not exactly what I wanted to do at the time. So it's not easy to build confidence when you're not in the right industry that fits you most, right?
Yep.
Once I started working on my own project, following my own path, that helped building confidence slowly but surely, day after day. That has been a helpful journey on a personal point as well.
I think I relate that to a lot, because in school I was the most introvert, shy kid.
Mm-hmm.
But when I came out of school, I was in my own field. I was doing my own stuff, and it was like I was a complete different person.
Yeah.
And I think when you love what you do, you just, none of these things of like low confidence, anything comes in the way. It's just like you keep pushing through just because you love what you're doing so much as well. There was a thing I really wanted to ask about. I think, yes, when you went, what made you want to go to Hong Kong to get a job right there? Why wasn't it like, let's say in Switzerland or in Europe itself?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to do a family trip in China, in Asia, and Hong Kong when I was younger. And, I always got captivated by the region, its culture, how things are done differently there. I visited Hong Kong with my family, and it really, it was an important point of my life. I discovered that I really like the region. And then, I worked super hard to get a small internship there, which allowed me to then find a long-term job. I was supposed to stay 6 months in the region. In the end, I stayed almost 5 years. So definitely having some, interest in these culture, mindset, and everything about the region, really.
I read that 1 in 13 people in Hong Kong are millionaires. And I guess surrounding yourself with those type of people as well, not just the culture, but the people as well, it's also, I guess, beneficial for you as a startup owner as well. But do you plan to go back ever to just after you have sold Juno, or I don't know what your future plans are?
It's hard to predict, right? Because you never know where life brings you, especially when you're in a startup journey. You can have suddenly an opportunity that opens there, someone that wants to buy your product and place it there. So I think now my life is in the UK, potentially in Switzerland in some times, but for now in the UK. But I'm always open to, explore different opportunities. I'm definitely not the type of person that enjoy being in one place. I like moving, I like exploring, I like observing, which has helped me with Juno Bamboo Water and having the idea. Now to settle down in Hong Kong, I don't think so. I think this part of my life, this chapter is sort of closed. So if I ever go back, it will be for holidays or for business trips here and there, but not for permanent living.
That makes sense. When you started Juno,
Yeah.
and you were going through your journey,
Yeah.
I'm sure there were a few other things which came in your mind. You were like, this is such a good idea to execute on.
Yeah.
How do you prevent yourself from jumping on another thing,
Yeah.
and then eventually you have 10 other things running, and then you have low focus on each one of them?
Yeah.
Because I had that problem a lot. I have improved a bit,
Yeah.
not so much, but a bit definitely. But how do you just stay to one thing, like you give your all?
Yeah, so I'm definitely in the same mindset. So, I walk in the street, I have ideas, I write them down on my phone, and I keep them potentially for the future. I don't know. But for now, my sole and core focus is within Juno Bamboo Water. I need to focus 100% of my time on this. There is so much to be done. It's a product that has some potential. So I have to put all the effort, literally, in one direction in Juno. And I just simply don't have time to care about the other ideas, because once you have the conviction and the belief that this one is the one that's gonna work, and that you have a bit of traction and validation from the market, you just don't care about the other ideas, and you simply don't have time for them. So then there's another dimension where with Juno Bamboo Water you can have a lot of ideas within,
Yes.
Product expansion, different type of product, different type of extract. So then you have to keep the focus within your business as well. Build the momentum with what you have, build strong foundations. And once this is in place, then potentially, start exploring different product with bamboo extract, etc., etc. But that's for the future.
I think that's one thing which I was thinking as well, is that once you have something successful, you can go sideways with other different product lines and everything like that. And one of my businesses I was thinking of doing in the future is like an like a powder or something which you can drink and you can stay high energetic throughout the day. Because I have some of my team members who will be working really hard till 12 o'clock, and then boom, all the energy levels are gone down. So I guess they're gonna drink this, and hopefully this will also keep them refreshed throughout the day and stuff like that. And we spoke about burnouts or working on your startup 24/7. And I'm sure when you are working on a startup, you still need to look at your family or your friends and everything. How do you balance all of that? Because balance is not a thing which in this world you have to give one or another, but you still need to give some time. So how do you do that?
Well, I think it's important to have a balance here, as you're saying, and often we're being presented with the idea that startup is 24/7. You just do startup. It's the case in 90% of the time, but it's really important, I think, for your personal balance and your family balance to carve out some time where you don't take care of your business, you don't take care of your startup. That's not easy because it's so simple to just be willing to check on social media, like, did you have any traction with this post, or has anyone reached in on social media during the weekend, for example. So it's a tricky one, and hopefully you be able to find the right balance, find some time for yourself, and I'm sure you've experienced this as well, to carve out some times and spend time with your friends, family, etc.
Definitely, I'm much more better now compared to back in the days.
Yeah,
I guess when you're starting out, you just want to do all in, but then you realize life is limited. It's not finite. It's not infinite time. Where do you think in 4 years' time, what are the plans for Juno? What are you thinking? Because as a owner, I learned this from Jeff Bezos. You can't be working in the now. You have to be planning 2 years down the line where you see the product.
Yeah, that's a good question. So now that there is sufficient traction, that there is demand coming from the market, interest from potential buyers, I have started fundraising. So that's the now, if you want. In 4 years' time, I think UK market definitely having good penetration within home market, let's call it this way, is the important part. And then there will have been some sort of overseas expansion. We have started to see demand coming from Middle East, for example, in some sort of big stores, supermarket chain in Qatar and Kuwait. So 4 years' time, if I had to summarize, it would be this Juno bamboo water plus one flavor available across the UK, but also overseas, and have done a few rounds of fundraising to be able to fund the growth of the business.
Fundraising is always kind of, whenever I hear the word fundraising, I always think of like, okay, you have to go to investors, you have to pitch them the whole business, and then once they invest in your business, you have to take care of all of that hassle and stuff like that. How does it actually work? Like, what's the process like of going for fundraising? And then when you get the funds, where do you mainly use those funds for a business? This is for most people like me who have never done fundraising or don't have any plans to do so.
So fundraising is a full-time job in itself, right? It takes 100% of my days these days. It's a probably one of the most painful process which I have encountered today. You have to reach out to so many people, and then you have to, first you need to have the good product, then you need to build a good pitch deck, and then you have to reach out to angel investors. Obviously, right now the situation is not the best, so angels investors are a bit more cautious. And also you want to be cautious on who you take on board, because you don't want to take anyone as a potential investors. So it's a long process. We are making good progress in our fundraising. We have onboarded some pretty serious angel investors from the food and beverage industry. So that sort of validates also the product. They really like the product, the vision as well. But yeah, it's a long process. There's a lot of legal element that needs to be put in place, and it's very time consuming.
Because it's time consuming, plus you are your own boss.
Yeah.
How do you fund your lifestyle when building a startup? Because obviously most of the money you make, you would want to put back in the startup as well.
Yeah, that's correct.
So how do you go through that process?
Yeah, so most of my saving from my finance days went into funding not only my initial business but also my lifestyle to date. Because as you say, now all the money that is being generated by Juno is re-injected in the business. So that's a bit of a tricky balance, but I had no other solution, because I wanted to bring a product that is close to 100% to perfection in front of buyers in order to go fundraising and to start, paying myself a small salary just to survive while building the future of Juno.
I like that a lot, because most people think when building a business, if they don't have a job, it's going to be difficult. But I guess you just need to be smarter in a way that you save up and then you start a business as well. And then eventually you have other options. Is there any specific or exclusive flavors you would like to say on this podcast that might come in the future for Juno?
Well, I'm excited to reveal that new flavor that is mango.
Yes. By the way, I'm loving this a lot. I'm already probably down here just because I love that mango flavor a lot. It's that little hint which you get at the end of that mango.
Thanks. So yeah, we initially only had one yuzu flavor, yuzu being a Japanese citrus, as I said, and now we just launched this mango flavor yesterday. Actually, it's already having good traction. People love it and buy it on our website and soon in stores. In terms of future flavor, I think what I have in mind is to keep some flavors that are a bit more exotic, linked to Asia somehow. So yeah, I have developed a third flavor already.
Oh wow! Okay.
And maybe you can invite me for another podcast in a few months, and
yes.
we can make the reveal of the new flavor.
Definitely. When I first thought of like a flavor in my head, I was
Mhm.
thinking more like a passion fruit
Oh.
or something like that. But if you just keep the mic next to you, because I
Yeah.
think Arpan just said it was slightly lower.
Yeah.
Going back to, you said few failed attempt businesses.
Mhm.
What were some of them? Because it would be interesting to know
Oh,
where your journey has come along until Juno.
yeah. So when I was in Hong Kong, actually, I had an idea of building a sort of marketplace based on geolocalization. So I don't have coding experience, so I had to rely on someone building the code for this, right? So yeah, we went into a very initial stage of building the business, and quickly I realized that this guy was simply not building anything, you know, and he was showing me code and he was like, yeah, this is what I built, but I don't know about coding, so how could I check? So yeah, I was younger at this stage, and yeah, I got some of my money back. The project failed. A few years went by, and then yeah, I decided to build a second project, taking in consideration the mistake that had been done in the past to make sure not to repeat them. And yeah, this is where we are today with the second one. And yeah, hopefully it will have a good future.
I can relate to the coding aspect because I tried building a SaaS platform.
Yep.
By building a team of 5 people, like front end, back end. Like 8 months passed by, no MVP, nothing, and I lost all my money in that project. So I've definitely learned that same lesson as you as well.
It's not easy, yeah.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
and that's why what I'm doing now with the same SaaS platform is I have got a co-founder or partner who is like a dev team. They have all the developers. They already have other softwares and everything like that. So I think one lesson I have learned is that never try and have the whole slice of the pie. You would rather share with someone, and then once it builds to a certain level, at least you will have some of the pie rather than all the hassle. I also want to remind people or tell people that you can actually get Juno for yourself and get 20% off if you simply use the discount code JATS20 when you check out. And I would highly recommend you try this out just because, one, it's healthy, and two, it tastes good. So
thank you.
This is something I'm definitely going to order because I did see there was a pack of 26 on the
12.
Pack of 12.
It comes in pack of 12. It's free delivery as well. So it's a simple process. You just go online on bamboo-water.com. You order in a few clicks, and in a few days you have free delivery to your door.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that. You recently also rebranded this.
Yep.
What was the reasoning behind that?
So the first prototype was built with my initial knowledge, with not much feedback from the market, because the product was simply not existing at the early stage. So then with the first, it was in a glass bottle. It was a bit of a more boring label, more plain colors, you know. And again, I got feedback from buyers, from consumers, from different supermarket chains, small retailers, etc. And I decided that, you know, it was the time to step up the effort on branding and packaging, because it's food and beverage is incredibly competitive.
Yeah, because
sector.
all you see is shiny, good designs.
Exactly. So I wanted to come with something a bit more eye-catchy, and while still, you know, keeping all the essence of the product. So yeah, keeping the wellness aspect, and then I decided to rebrand into a more exciting packaging, more in line with our consumers as well, and you know, depending on where their preference. So we took all these feedback and we built a new product.
That's why the packaging has definitely.
Thank you.
It looks really nice, and just like you spoke about the aspect of choosing the right colors as well, just to make it look good.
Yeah.
Have you guys tried marketing this on TikTok or anything like that yet?
Not yet. So that's part of the plan, short-term plan. We have a small channel. It's also juno.bamboowater. Okay. We are in the process of building it, and hopefully in the coming months, you know, it will have more traction, and we'll definitely put way more effort into this.
I'm surprised that without doing social media, like a lot. You guys are already in the markets out there and people are liking already. So with the help of social media, it's going to be even bigger.
Yeah, hopefully.
And I've seen many. Have you heard of Prime?
Yeah.
You have heard of Logan Paul and KSI's Prime.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's an energy drink. This is somewhat of an energy drink, not really an energy drink.
Yeah.
But it comes under hydration and everything like that. And that kind of is an inspiration of like what's possible when there's when you have a personal brand and stuff like that. Have you thought about building a personal brand yourself?
Yeah, I've thought about it. In the case of the brand you mentioned, I thought it was a bit sad that the product was not a healthy one, right?
Yeah.
I think for consumer it would be so much better to have, you know, a product that is healthy for them, and yet no one seems to be really doing it, because you know, most of the drink you find out there are packed with sugars or flavorings or artificial elements, and they get their consumers sort of addicted to these just because it's sugar, it's addictive, etc. Or caffeine or substance like this. In my case, if I could reproduce this exact scheme but with, you know, a product that is healthy and doing a good contribution, that's definitely something I'd be working on and interested in. Yeah.
Perfect. This product itself, there's only few ingredients in here, and it's more like drinking sparkling water itself. And me loving sparkling water, this is definitely nice and healthier.
Thank you.
Why is this different from the rest? Is there any competition in the recent times that you have seen?
No. So our real USP, so you know, it's the bamboo extract. As you say, in terms of taste, it's more like a flavored sparkling water, low in sugar, etc. And then you have the functional benefits of bamboo extract that is added to this. The competition are other healthy drinks, such as the kombucha, the coconut water, the matcha, etc. You don't have bamboo water players in EU or Asia. You have a few in Asia, in the US, that are starting to trend. But yeah, no one here in the UK and in Europe where I start to getting traction.
I'll be honest, all the brands I know for coconut water, I don't think it's real, because there's definitely sugar in that, because I've tasted natural coconut water and I taste that coconut water and it does not taste the same. This one's always a bit sweeter. Whereas this one, so usually whenever I drink like Prime, for example, when I drink that, all I taste is like so much sugar and it says no sugar. I don't know how that works or anything like that. But this one, like, it's more like just the water, which is the main flavor, and that's why it's really good. But is there anything you would want to share with the people listening to this podcast? Tell them anything about Juno, anything like that?
Yeah, so I just hope, you know, as many people can try Juno bamboo water. Hopefully it will be in more store over the summer. But if you want to try, as you said, there is the JATS 20 discount code that they can use. Try it at home. And we're always happy to get feedback from our consumers. So, you know, they can always reach by email, send us a feedback, say what they like or dislike. And then we take all this into consideration, because, you know, with Juno, what is most important is really the consumers, because they are the one using the product. So we really want to make a product that fits both our vision, but also the consumer taste.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. And while we end this podcast, I'm going to be finishing my drink as well. So cheers to this, and thank you for coming on the podcast.